Welcome back, once again adventurers, to Let's Play Chaos Head. In the last episode, Takumi Nishijo did everything in his power to verify that he wasn't a delusionary existence as Rimi Sakihata had claimed. And not only was the phone number to his parents' house not in service, he also received a very dire pondering from none other than his best friend, quote-unquote, Daisuke Misumi, who had wondered a question that Takumi himself had been wondering for a long while now, which is, when and how did they exactly become friends in the first place? Takumi being the stereotypical otaku shut-in, whereas Daisuke was a extroverted, womanizing playboy. In other words, two people of differing personalities should never have actually been so very well acquainted as they were, and yet, by certain means, they were acquainted, and by that, I of course mean the powers of the Kikulomaniac Rimi Sakihata that ultimately brought Daisuke and Takumi together. And speaking of Rimi, that brings us to her perspective here in this little area here. As she walked below the overhead rail at Shibuya Station, Rimi Sakihata took out her cell phone. She had walked straight here after parting with Takumi. She brought up her phone's address book and called the number recorded under the name Nana-chan. Why does Rimi have Nanami's cell phone? The recipient soon picked up.
私、実はちょっとした報告があります。ナナちゃんをこれから助けに行こうと思って。
Rimi had an idea of where Nanami was being imprisoned and who had imprisoned her. She knew, for she too had once been in the same environment. It was a past she wanted to forget, but for the sake of saving Nanami, she would readily dare to meet with dark memories for a second time. So even Rimi Sakihata herself has a sealed past. The reaction of the person she called was just what she had expected, and so she smiled wryly. I think we can guess who's on the other end of the line. Shogun.
私って信用されてないな。平気だってば。
Given Rimi's response there, I would say that I'm right on the money. Both her voice and her expression were very bright. They didn't betray a particle of the tragic yet brave resolution within her. To an onlooker, she would only appear to be making an enjoyable phone call.
昔の話だしね。そもそも私の感情とナナちゃんを助けることとどっちを優先させるかなんて決まりきってることだよ。
So, Rimi is taking it upon herself to save Nanami Nishijo, even after bestowing Takumi with the burdens of an unfortunate truth.
言ったでしょ。私はあなたの力になりたいって。それにタクには関わらせたくないの。
There, Rimi's expression clouded over.
ねえ、ちょっとだけ語っちゃっていいかな。
And now, Rimi's true personality is finally beginning to shine through, different from the perky exterior that she exuded before.
タクにね、いろいろひどいこと言っちゃったんだ。しかも そんなことしておいてすごく自分勝手なんだけど、私彼と一緒に過ごした時間はとっても楽しかったって思っちゃってるんだ。
That was then, and this is now.
何もかもが妄想でまみれたまやかしでしかなかったのに、学生生活もあの学校に私やタクが通ってることも、大ちんと友達だっていうことも、
Yeah, funny that.
私がタクと一緒にいようとしたことも、タクの存在そのものも。
Little by little, Rimi's pace grew more relaxed. People she'd never seen before kept passing her from behind.
タクってどうしようもないくらい情けなくて、どうしようもないくらい弱くて、きっと普通の女だったら見向きもしないような男の子なんだよ。
On any given day, Takumi would agree with you wholeheartedly. As she spoke, she tightened the hand gripping the phone to her ear.
なのに私の心には楽しかったっていう気持ちがあるの。
And yet, for what it's worth, Rimi genuinely enjoyed the time they had together.
なのに私の心にはもっと一緒にいたかったっていう気持ちがあるの。この気持ちって何なのかな。
When she looked up, there was the neon-lit night sky. She couldn't see any stars. Rimi briefly paused to stand still there. A very clouded night sky. Rimi smiled a tiny bit in response to the person at the other end of the line.
さてと、そろそろ切るね。本当に大丈夫だって。あなたは何も心配しないで。私が全部決着をつけてくるから。
Somehow, I have my doubts that things will go so swimmingly.
ね、匠。
Wait. She just said what I thought she said. I'd lost all energy. Before I knew it, I was back at my base. I didn't have clear memories of how I gotten back here after failing to die on Yamanote Street.
このコンテナって誰がどうやってここまで運んだんだろう。
Indeed. It was a little too convenient for a container to be used as a residential quarters in the first place. A question that hadn't so much as occurred to me before now. When I thought about it anew, all these things that seemed a tad odd to me kept catching my notice. They increasingly cornered me. Very deliberate, I might add. Once I closed the door, the room's interior went pitch black. Leaning up against the door, I stood motionless. All that echoed through the quiet room was the sound of my PC's fan humming and the sound of my shallow breathing. I thought maybe in the darkness I wouldn't have to be as conscious of my hideous self, but it had the reverse effect. In part because I couldn't see anything, and it was so quiet. The cruel things that Rimi had said to me played on endless repeat in my head.
あなたは妄想の存在なんだよ。
My own moans sounded helplessly repellent to me. It gave me nausea. Given that I was already repulsive enough, I'd be beyond saving if my existence itself were the stuff of a freak show. I wanted to disappear. Tripping over the trash scattered across the floor, I crept my way toward the back of the room. I switched on the light, driving away the darkness. I grabbed the Serotan post-awakening version figure that had caught my eye just then and collapsed into my chair. I embraced Serotan, holding her to my chest. She was very small and very hard. She wasn't breathing, and she wouldn't say anything to me. It's because you're holding an action figurine of a fictional anime character. She didn't have the warmth of a 3D girl. Even so, I only had Serotan now. Well, it went positive before, so we're going negative this time. Because things are definitely looking bleak, and they're about to get much worse. Rimi had left me. Nanami was missing. Senna had attacked me. Kozupi hadn't protected me. Yua was my enemy. And Ayase was in the hospital. They were the only girls whose names I knew, and none of them would do a thing for me. Reality wasn't easy. They couldn't care less about a monster like me. Maybe not Senna, but Ayase and Kozue definitely went out their way to help you. I clenched Serotan with trembling hands. Harder, harder, perhaps enough to break her. I wanted to disappear.
だったら消えればいいっしょ。
And once again, Takumi's imagination dreaming up Sarah Orgel as an illusionary fantasy of her own right.
消えてやんよ。消えてやる。
I opened my desk drawer. There ought to be a knife in there. Looking back at it now, I had just been your typical egotistical adolescent. But at one time I thought it would be badass to go around with a knife hidden on me. Of course, I also remember if Kozue had found out about that, she would have murdered Takumi wholeheartedly with her D-sword. But I'd stopped when police enforcement of the laws against it became stricter. As I thought, a folding knife was inside, mixed in with key holders, trading cards, stationery, and the like. I pulled out the blade. It shone invitingly, reflecting the light. It was a little rusted. Must be from how I let it sit there for close to a year. But this much rust shouldn't make any difference when it came to slitting my wrists. My left hand which held Serotan. I put the knife against that wrist. The blade was chilly. I found myself associating its coldness with death. I closed my eyes. I took 3 deep breaths. Afterwards, all I had to do was press the knife down hard and pull it to the side. All I had to do was put a little more power into my right hand. My heart was pounding. My fake heart raced, despite my being a fake. It felt like someone had poured cold water into the core of my head. My shaking wouldn't stop. In fact, it was getting worse and worse, even though I was a fake. Cut it. Cut your wrist, then you'll be able to vanish. I raised my voice, frantically trying to muster enough energy to die. But it's not going to be that easy. It never is. My trembling was so violent, I dropped the Serotan figure I'd been holding. I still had the knife pressed to my wrist. The hand holding it there shook like a leaf too.
ダメだ。できない。できないよ。
Flinging away the knife, I hunched over in my chair and cradled my head. How pathetic. I didn't even have the courage to commit suicide. There was no value to my life, but I couldn't so much as die. I couldn't so much as tack a period on and put an end to this ugly and monstrous self of mine. I was hopelessly useless. It wasn't that I felt an attachment to being alive. I was simply scared of dying, of disappearing. Even though I'm a fake.
頼むよ。誰かこんな僕を殺してくれ。
I ended up hoping that someone else would do me the favor of killing me. I couldn't do a thing on my own. I was degenerate, reliant on others for everything.
そんなタッキーも可愛いよ。
Saratan said as merrily as she lay in my hand. I loathed myself for making her say it. I'm way beyond noxious. Takumi finally once again accepting the fact that his conversations with Sarah Ogle are delusion. And we're here with Yasuji-ban. At night, hints of a human presence rapidly faded from hospitals. Looks like he's going to the Tokyo General Hospital to try and rescue Suwa from his kidnapper. And on that front, that is going to bring an end to this episode of Let's Play Chaos Head. And when we return, we shall see if Ban's endeavors are worth it, because he can't exactly call official backup now, can he? In any event, adventurers, until next we meet.